A grace-filled morning to one and all. Today we, JC Vince Mercado Samebang, Clavel Miguel, Janessa Solis, Jhala Pallasigue, Shin Sansano, and Eric Padilla are about to present to you our research entitled Teaching Social Studies Through Online Modality in the Time of COVID-19, under our research project leader, Dr. Teresita D. Ignacio. Indubitably, it is critical to consider that the abrupt shift in education has presented teachers with unprecedented conditions adapting to online modality. The education sector has been deeply affected and has forced teachers worldwide to adopt to online modality and ensuring that education advances in this time of uncertainty. This qualitative phenomenological study aims to explore the teaching strategies of teachers in teaching social studies during the COVID-19 pandemic. Purposive sampling was used to select the participants among the social studies teachers currently teaching at the St. Louis University School of Teacher Education and Liberal Arts of the academic year 2021 to 2022. The use of coding approaches were observed, such as axial coding, open coding cycle, and warm and cool analyses to explore how teachers adapt to online modality in teaching social studies. Based from the research problem, 4 significant themes emerged, generated from the discussion points of the study. As the COVID-19 pandemic struck societies at its core, teachers continue to face considerable challenges adapting to online teaching of social studies. Consequently, the country's educational system is one of the most affected sectors. Conversely, the chairman of Commission on Higher Education clarified that although there is a strong possibility for the return of complete face-to-face modality in tertiary level education, it is likely that flexible learning will become the new norm for universities. Due to this, the Philippine educational system is pressed down by a prevalent issue that centers upon the current state of its ongoing online modality. Now, the roles of teachers are crucial in the determination of online new teaching and learning practices. The common problems that social studies teachers encounter in a face-to-face classroom include providing an unbiased explanation in the contentiousness and hostility of the current political status, socio-political and economic concepts. As a result of the pandemic, social teachers now have to face new obstacles under the condition of the online modality. In a similar note, it is recommended to study different courses in universities to assess the degree of acceptance of online modality in higher education. This study further accentuates the necessity to explore the preparations and adjustments that social studies teachers go through to provide an acceptable, quality online education to their students. In order to truly understand online modality and its effective delivery, research must focus on exploring how teachers adjust to the shift in online modality and how they have familiarized themselves with it. By centering upon the experiences of social studies teachers in their strategies in teaching social studies through online modality during the COVID-19 pandemic, our research helps explain the phenomenon of online learning in the Philippines.
In that note, it is critical to consider that the abrupt shift in education has presented teachers with unprecedented conditions adopting to online modality. Available literature has presented coping mechanisms and strategies of teachers on online-based teaching. But the paucity of research exploring how teachers adapt to online teaching remains a point for further studies. Furthermore, there is a dearth of research specifically on exploring the strategies of teachers in teaching social studies through online modality during the COVID-19 pandemic. Hence, the objective of the study.
COVID-19 pandemic struck societies at its core. Teachers face considerable challenges with the online modality of teaching social studies during the COVID-19 pandemic. Thus, this paper explores the strategies of teachers teaching social studies through online modality during the COVID-19 pandemic. Specifically, this paper answers the question, how does social studies teacher adapt to online teaching during the COVID-19 pandemic?
The findings of this study redound to the interest of the social studies teachers and to other teachers in general, as the study will assist and initiate teachers to convey effective teaching through online modalities. It will generate a strong message on how other teachers can also adapt to online modalities, how online modality of teaching can be improved, and how teachers may employ teaching strategies in adapting to an online modality of teaching. This study will also be favorable to pre-service teachers in advancing their practice and actual teaching skills while aligning their learning into teaching and equip them to face the new normal conditions. In addition, the study will increase students' understanding of how they can serve as an additional driving force towards a good learning environment.
The study used qualitative research with a phenomenological approach to investigate the true-to-life experiences of teachers teaching social studies in an online modality during the COVID-19 pandemic and create an in-depth comprehension of the phenomena embedded from the research participants' experiences and perspectives. A purposive sampling technique was utilized for the selection of the participants, specifically the social studies teachers of St. Louis University, School of Teacher Education and Liberal Arts for the academic year 2021 to 2022. The primary data gathering tool utilizes an online interview using video conferences applications and websites. The researchers prepared an interview guide that directed the flow of the interview as it is the optimal choice for phenomenological research design to capture the unique experiences of the interviewee. Despite an online or digital record of the interview, the interviewers listed the answers on a notepad to have a backup if the digital recording will have technical malfunctions. And also, the interview questions were formulated through a priori codes.
Upon approval of the request letter of the Dean of the School of Teacher Education and Liberal Arts Department of St. Louis University, the researchers sent the interview invitations and waited the interviewee's confirmation before proceeding to negotiate the date, time, and preferred online conferencing software for the interview. Before beginning, the researchers asked for permission before recording the online interview. A brief orientation was also conducted to explain the objective of the interview and the study to the interviewee. After the interview, the researchers encoded the transcript of the interview in detail. The interviewees, which are social studies teachers or the SST, responses was assigned with a number code SST1, SST2, SST3, and so on for a specification. The interview was generally estimated to last for 45 minutes. To perceive the high accuracy of data, the axial coding was performed to determine the connections and interrelationships between the codes that will be determined in the open coding cycle. The researchers transcribed the interviews in a verbatim format. The cold and warm analysis was employed to compare and contrast the codes determined from the respondents' answers. The cool analysis was used to review individual experiences, and the warm analysis was used to observe and name the collective phenomenon with which most or all respondents have similarities. Specifically, the following are the steps that were followed in analyzing the data gathered. Before conducting the actual interview, a letter was sent to the Dean of the School of Teacher Education and Liberal Arts requesting consent. The participants' choices about whether or not to participate in the study were honored. Moreover, in line with the Data Privacy Act, researchers asked the participants to record and document the conversation. Anonymity and confidentiality were observed. Thus, only the researchers were able to examine the recorded audio and videos to analyze the data.
After the data gathering process has been completed, the research team was able to come up with the following results. Using the interview guide that is attached to the appendices of this paper, we were able to collect, transcribe, and code 4 interviews from 4 social studies teachers currently teaching at St. Louis University. By applying the data analysis tools that were described in the methodology, this research was able to come up with 4 major themes. The first one is utilizing learning management systems. Learning management systems were used by the respondents as a major strategy to organize and maintain quality education in an online setting, while avoiding any compromises that might lead to the diminishing of learning from the end of the students. The first theme includes 2 sub-themes, which are the use of Google Classroom, which was the prescribed primary learning management system to be utilized by the teachers in the university. The second one is the use of Facebook's Messenger app as a secondary or supplementary learning management system that comes after the Google Classroom. The second one is initiating online communication and imparting motivation to students. This theme emphasizes on another strategy or plan of action which the respondents undertook in order to enhance the learning progress for students amidst the pandemic. Since students and teachers can no longer communicate on a face-to-face basis, because of the pandemic, the respondents agreed that their teaching process should be administered further through initiating online communication to motivate students and improve learning conditions in an online-based environment. There are 3 sub-themes involved in this theme. Number 1. Extending communication to students outside the primary learning management system, or basically through the use of electronic messaging to receive an update or a feedback from the learners individually. Number 2. Establishing forum discussions and online discussions or consultations in order to create an interactive and open space for students to voice out their ideas and queries as a group. Number 3. Eliciting online recitation to encourage students to participate in synchronous meetings, which is focused on the teacher's aptness to receive input from the students so as not to make online teaching one-sided. The third theme is integrating the 5E instructional model. This theme is focused on how social studies teachers have continuously utilized the aforementioned model as a major framework for the learning materials that they prepare for the online classes. The fourth and final theme is the strategy of teachers when it comes to designing online learning activities and materials that complement the course learning outcomes. This seemingly normal activity for teachers have been affected by the shift from face-to-face teaching to online teaching, which is why one of the frequently mentioned strategy that the respondents have described is being able to design appropriate and efficient online learning materials for their online classes. This theme has 2 sub-themes. The first one is matching online learning activities and outcomes with course learning outcomes, and the second one is crafting the learning materials for online-based and correspondence-based classes. All in all, the 4 major themes lifted from the respondents were able to show 4 major strategies or sets of activities that the social studies teachers were able to perform in the hopes of maintaining the quality of education that they deliver despite the major shift in learning modality due to the COVID-19 pandemic.
This research elucidates the teaching strategies that social studies educators employ in adapting to the online teaching of social studies. These teaching strategies that social studies employ is the utilization of the appropriate learning management systems, extending online communication between themselves and the students, integrating the 5E instructional model which the university prescribed to organize better and structure their learning contents, activities, and finally the adaptation process of social studies teachers to online modality is accomplished through the exemplary designing process of online learning materials, especially the modules that accommodate the desired learning outcomes. Aside from the 4 mentioned significant themes gathered from the collected data in this study, social studies teachers presented their resiliency and flexibility in adapting to unfamiliar educational situations, such as the abrupt shifting between the teaching modalities through the effective and appropriate execution of various teaching strategies, methodologies, and principles. In a recommending grant, as this research inclined towards the teaching strategies of social studies teachers only, it would be beneficial to expand the scope of the study by including all teachers of liberal arts and education courses of the university to have a broader panoramic generalization among the experiences of other teachers teaching in different subject courses amid the online modality. Hence, the enrichment of the study will help the university to develop strategic policies in facilitating and enhancing online classes. Additionally, the study can extract possible alterations, bolster beneficial policies, and undermine unnecessary policies in the current mode of education. The discoveries in this research can initiate a policy change if it is necessary in the local to the national scope of higher education. It is also recommended to research the dilemmas faced by teachers amid the strategies they employ in an online modality of teaching. It will help and will soon be beneficial for both teachers and pre-service teachers in strategizing and managing teaching practices in an online teaching modality.
And that wraps up our research entitled Teaching Social Studies Through Online Modality in the Time of COVID-19. Here are our references for your perusal. Thank you for listening.